Okay, we are recording, so anything we say will and can be used against us in the court of public opinion.
Well, hopefully you weren't recording. No, never mind. I'm not going to make the joke I was going to say.
Yeah. Okay, so am I still sharing my screen? Can you see what I've
I
got up?
see a red guy.
Okay,
Or
cool.
red.
So this is the scene that you have. I went ahead and took that on to where I wanted it to be, and I'm going to show you the end result so that when I walk you through it, you'll kind of know where it's headed. So
Okay.
I'm just going to hit play, and you'll see this. You'll see this play out. So it's the same four guys, but they're now, okay, let's go. We got to go check this place out. I got a bad feeling about this, Sarge. You're a loser, Johnson. You don't have feelings. You're a soldier. And then, hell. Well, it's time for some bad stuff to happen. So, kaboom. Kaboom. Yeah. So, yeah,
Cool.
that's the little scene. You know how, you know what we use stuff for. Being able to set something like this up, kind of move stuff around, even if we're not doing an animatic, this is a really good way to get a sense of the action and angles and stuff like that. Even if you were to just stop and take this frame by frame, right? You can kind of see the usefulness of the program a little bit better.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's that. Let me now open the things.
Which is really cool, by the way.
Opening another blender. Cool. Okay, so this should be what you have, right?
Hmm.
Cool. All right, so I think we were the first thing where we left off on was we were trying to make these little jerks move along this path,
Hmm.
and that was being kind of a pain. And I figured out how to tell if it's going to go wrong. Well, how to tell if it's going wrong, and then how to fix it. So, if you were to left click on this line and get it to highlight, right?
Mm.
Okay. And if you can't click on it, then you can always come over to the little thing over here and click on the NURBS path, and it'll highlight it too. Once you've done that, so we're getting into the point where we have to start talking about the timeline. So for right now, make sure that your timeline is pulled all the way over to 0.
I have a question. Right now, my cursor,
Uh-huh.
there's like a circle around it, like it's some kind of brush or something. It won't let me select things.
Oh, you're probably not in object mode.
It says I'm in object mode in the top left.
Um, you have a circle.
Yeah, there's a white circle around my cursor. When I click, it turns transparent. The circle does. It's like semi-opaque.
I guess I need to see what you're doing. Yeah, feel free to share your screen. I won't be able to record it because of the way I've got this set up, but I'll be able to look at see maybe see what you're doing.
Okay.
See, this is what I was talking about. Why it's good to have somebody on the side there.
see the circle around my cursor?
Yeah. So hold tab.
Hold tab.
Is it being weird? Is it not bringing up your radial?
Well, whatever you had us bind to the radio last time got like it didn't get saved in my program, so it got unhotkeyed.
Oh, okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up to Edit,
Mm-hmm.
Preferences, Navigation, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what are we doing?
You're setting up a radio for tab.
No, I think it's input.
Oh,
Sorry. Key map. Key map. That's what it was. So edit preferences. Key map.
okay. Tab for pie menu.
Uh huh.
Okay.
All right.
Is it?
Yeah. Now you should be able to tab and get to where you want to be.
Okay. So object mode and edit mode are the choices.
Okay. Choose object.
Okay.
And you still got that. Oh, that little circle. I think. Try click and drag. See what it does.
Nada.
Okay.
Oh, it selected multiple.
Okay. Press W and see if it changes that.
Oh, okay, it's gone.
Okay. So top left, you see the little arrow that's highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hold that, it's going to give you different options for how you select things. So it'll give you a bounding box, a little click thing. I typically go with the bounding box because it lets you click, but it also lets you like click and drag a box to highlight. So try that. Yeah, now it's working for you. I don't remember what the circle does, but I never.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I never really use it. But if you run into that problem, W is the hotkey for it to determine how you're going to select stuff. But you can just click on that little thing up here and just hold it, and it'll let you do whatever.
Okay, that's good to know because yeah, I think I've done this before because I try to use the WASD to move the camera around before I'm in the camera
Yeah.
mode. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Andy. All right, I'm listening.
Okay. Cool. Right. So we're going to move things around first. This is. I don't know if I would say this is the best way to do stuff like this, but I think it really is an effective way of figuring out the action you want to have going on in your scene, going ahead and mapping the action out, and then you can figure out how to capture it with the camera. So if you hit 7 and you go into this top-down mode, you know what? Well, you're recording too, aren't you?
Yeah.
I was going to say you could just leave your screen up and I could see what you're doing, but don't worry about that. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look down here at the timeline. Timeline's pretty important now because we've already got these little guys set up on their little pads. The reason that we were having issues last time is because if you click on one of these people, one little people here, and then you press G and you move them. Do you see that little dotted line that connects back to the point you moved them from?
Yes.
If you left click and leave them there, and then you go down to your timeline and you grab the playhead and you move it, you're going to see that they are moving. They're still moving along that line, but they are directly offset by the distance you moved them from their starting point. And that little line you see connecting, little dotted line, the person to the NURBS path, that it's showing you that it's moving them along that path. They're just offset from it. So if you've connected something to a path and it's it's offset like that. Just look to see where the little dotted line goes to, and just grab them and put them back where they need to be.
I see. Okay.
And
Gotcha.
that was 30 minutes of my day today trying to figure out why that was happening. Uh, so that is fixed.
Oh, something interesting happened. I put him back where he was supposed to be,
Mhm.
but the timeline wasn't back at 0.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts away from it and then he moves towards it.
Yeah. So reset it. Okay. So you have something turned on right now because you're using this file that you didn't have turned on before. The reason that just moving that thing with the timeline set to a different place other than 0, right down here, if you look at where my mouse is, right above the timeline, you'll see, you've got your like playhead controls, you can go forward, backwards, all that stuff. Do you see this little blue dot or this little white dot that's got a blue box around it?
Yeah.
If you hover over it, it'll tell you, hovering over pretty much anything in this program, it gives you a description of it.
Right.
This is called auto keying. What auto keying does is if, let's say, you move your timeline over somewhere and you move something, it's going to automatically put a keyframe down for you so that you don't have to manually keyframe stuff once you get to the point that you're moving it.
Mm.
You can turn that off, but I almost always leave it on because it's so much easier for me to just move the timeline to where I want something, move the thing wherever I want it at that point in time, and it auto keys it. It's also super helpful when you're doing grease pencil stuff because it works the same way. If you like move the playhead over and you start drawing on a new grease pencil layer, it's going to auto key that as a new layer for you.
Mm.
So just keep that in mind. That's why I was saying at this point we have to be very intentional about where the playhead is. Make sure it's on 0 for now.
Okay. Now I have too many keyframes now. I have like 3 keyframes, so I need to delete some.
Okay. So all you
So
do is you just use your little bounding box to highlight them and press X.
cool. Okay.
And you can
But
control Z back as much as you need to.
mm, okay, cool. I also noticed that they're draggable, the keyframes.
Yeah, and they actually have the exact same parameters and things as anything else does. And what I mean by that is you can scale them to the playhead. Uh, we'll get into that. We'll get into that because it's
Okay.
really useful, especially for doing camera stuff and movement and all that. All right, so what I decided on was that I want our 4 bad guys to meet right around here. So what we're going to do, what we've done is we've made these NURBS paths like we did last time. Do you want me to go back over that?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
All right. So let's take this furthest far left path. If you're looking at the car from the back, let's go ahead and highlight that NURBS path in object mode. Press X and delete it. And when you do that, you'll notice that the little figure bounces back to their position that they had before they were parented to that path.
Right.
Right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select the figure. We're going to press Shift S and we're going to cursor to selected so that when we make the new path, it's going to be right there on that character. It's going to be right where we want it to be for us to
Okay.
start. So we're going to hit Shift A. I think it's curve. Yeah, curve path.
Okay.
All right, and then we're going to tab into edit mode. and you'll now be able to select the points on the path. So we're just going to select our first point. Okay, now before we start moving anything, we're going to press 7, and we're going to go back into top-down mode so that we don't get any up or down on this, so that it'll just be moving along that ground plane. Okay?
Right. Okay.
Because I did not do that when I was messing around with it earlier, and then I had to go back and fix it. So
Mm.
let's not do that. So all you're going to do is you're just going to grab a point, and you're going to put it pretty much where you want your character to end up at. And I want this character to end up in formation pretty tight with these other characters.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to just move these things around a bit, and you're going to want to take the last point on your path and put that basically on your 3D cursor so that your character can start there. And you can adjust this path however you want. I want it to where they're just going around the edge of the car. So since it's just me and you, we're going to move at your pace. So when you've got that where you want it, let me know.
Okay, I have the path.
Okay. So now we don't have to stay in that top-down mode, but we are going to tab back into object mode. Now we're going to click on our character. We're going to shift click on that NURBS path. It's probably easier to just do it in the little panel over here. But if you're in the panel, you don't shift click, you control click. If you're in the 3D window, then you shift click instead of control click. It's kind of annoying. That is
Okay.
not. But make sure it's highlighting the NURBS path you want it to be on. I clicked the wrong NURBS path, so we're going to control click off of that and control click into the right one once we find it. There it is. You'll
Yep.
know it's the right one because you'll see it's yellow.
Yep.
And because, so when you're going to parent something to another thing, remember the parent's going to drag the child. So you're always going to pick the child first and then effectively tell it to hold the parent's hand. That's the easiest way I've found to keep track of it in my head.
Okay.
So you select the kid first and then make it hold the parent's hand.
Gotcha.
So now we're going to hit Control P. It'll bring up the parent to object and then hit enter. And you should be able to come down to this little thing over here on the side now in our object data properties, which is the little curved green line here. You'll see that we have path animation checked on. And to make sure that it's on the path, you'll just grab this evaluation time and move. And what's happened is we're back at that point where it's offset from the path. So what I'm going to do is I am going to run this evaluation time over to where the line connecting my character to where I want him to start on the path is right there. Did I say that well enough?
That was weird. Also, I think I had more than one thing selected, so I have to back up and make sure that I accidentally clicked the plane and the path, so I have to like.
Yep. Just Control Z.
So click him and then Control click on the.
Yeah, if you're in the
Yeah.
whatever the hell this thing's called.
Okay. So now I have them both selected, and then while they're selected, I hit Control P.
Yep.
Set parent to object. Okay, I think it might. And then go down to and then do the evaluate time.
Yep. Is yours offset?
I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's moving in a way. He's not following the path at all. I guess he's offset. Yeah, he's offset.
Yeah. So just move this evaluation time to the point where that line, that little dotted line from your character, leads directly to the 3D cursor, which we put where we wanted our character to start at.
Right. Okay.
Once you got that, all you got to do is select your character again, just the character.
Uh-huh.
We're going to press 7 because we only want to move them on this plane.
Right.
And you're just going to hit G and you're going to grab it and just move it to where you want it to be.
Where it should have been. All right.
Right.
Okay.
And
Good.
now, if you if you select the NURBS path again, and you move the evaluation time, they should move directly on the path now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Interestingly, he'll continue on in the other direction that I didn't path out. He'll just continue.
Infinitely, yeah. They will go. They will straight line infinite out. If so, here's the thing. So if, let's say, you've made this path, but you decide that you actually want them to be able to go further than just what this path entails, then again, this path is effectively a 3D object. So you can select the NURBS path. Yeah, it's probably easier to select it up here in the little menu thing. We're going to go 7 to go top down because, again, if we move anything right now, we want it all moving on one plane. Grab this last point on the NURBS path, like we did when we were just moving it around, and press E. And that's going to extrude the NURBS path. So you can continue this path on however much you want. You can make a very complicated path, and if you were to do that and then move your evaluation time now, your character is going to follow that path.
Oh. Interesting. It's also dragging him out along with it as it gets longer. I guess because he has to travel faster to reach the end point in the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So let's go back to where we've got him ending right here with everybody else. We're going to tab back into object mode just so we don't accidentally move anything we don't want to move. And so now you've got these 4 characters that if you grab your timeline and scrub it forward, they're all going to move except the one that we just made a path for, because we haven't told that it's going to keyframe anything. So here's the easy way to do this. Click one of the other NURBS paths. When you do, down here you'll actually see a keyframe because we've already keyframed where we want them to stop. Or I guess I did. But I did it so that you would have that as kind of a reference example thing. So what you're going to do is you're just going to drag the timeline over on top of the keyframe. Because I set them all to end at the same time on the timeline. Then you're going to click your NURBS path again, or grab it from the window or whatever. And it doesn't really matter what view you're in at this point, but what you want to do now is just move this value for the NURB to the point where your character stops where they're going to stop. And then, for some reason, it doesn't auto key this. I would have to look into exactly what it does and doesn't auto key, but anything, if you're in this menu on the right side over here, anything that has this little dot beside it is something you can keyframe. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this little dot here, and it's going to add a keyframe to the timeline.
Click which dot? Oh, over there? Okay.
Yep.
Wow, I would never be able to find that. Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, because we did not have an initial keyframe, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to 0, and we're going to run our path back to where we want it to be. I think maybe it didn't auto keyframe because I hadn't keyframed before, but now it's auto keying that as well. So maybe you have to drop a keyframe first, then the auto key takes over. That's probably what it is.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm just used to keying everything at 0 and then starting off. But yeah, so you'll know that you've got your keys when you see the two little yellow things here on the timeline. Um, and you move the timeline now, and you'll see them all moving, and they all kind of get to the same place around the same time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Also, right now we are looking at the timeline in terms of frames, which, if you're animating, is cool once you get into animating, but for a lot of the stuff we're going to do, the frames aren't really going to help us. We need to know, are we in the 30 seconds? Are we at 15 seconds? Are we at 10 seconds? So the hotkey, is it Control T? Yeah, Control T. And again, context sensitive, so you have to have your mouse in the timeline area. But if you press Control T, it'll let you toggle between frame rate, between frames, and between time, like seconds.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I like it seconds because my brain thinks in seconds, not frames.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, so now we've got these characters moving, which is, if we hit 7 on the numpad, we'll go back and we'll see our little play-by-play thing, and you'll see that they're going to come around the car here, and now what we need to do is make our characters that were going to be up on top of the buildings do what they were supposed to do, which was jump down from the buildings to confront the bad guys. Now, since we've got this key framed out to where we know the bad guys are going to stop, what we're going to do is we're going to move our playhead up to that point, and we're just going to go ahead and say that this is probably going to be close to the end point that we would have. It's probably close to the time, that we're going to have our appearance of our other people. Right? Because you want to build that tension of them coming in, they're looking around, they're a little freaked out, and then we're going to have the other ones drop down. Probably not going to have them all drop at the same time. We'll have one or two do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this first one, this green one. Make sure you're in object mode.
Okay.
Cool. So let's see. I seem to have keyframes for them already. Okay. Let's go ahead and address this because this is going to be annoying. You can zoom in on the timeline by scrolling. Use your scroll wheel, you'll scroll into it.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, you're going to see that we actually have a couple of keyframes already.
Yep.
And if you were to zoom in on this character, you're also going to notice there is no black lines here until we move the playhead over a little bit. What's happened is when I was doing this, I was not paying close enough attention to the timeline and where it was while I was drawing the grease pencil stuff. So what we're going to have to do is go ahead and fix this by moving something in grease pencil. Now, the reason I moved something and the reason all of it didn't move is because in grease pencil, you can lock grease pencil layers. Not only does locking a grease pencil layer not let you draw on it or accidentally erase it, but it also keeps it from moving. So if you go to move something in grease pencil, you got to unlock everything. It's kind of annoying, especially if you're on like something complicated. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our playhead as far left as we can make it go. We're going to select the grease pencil object here. We're going to go down here into the layers property, and you're going to see the stupid little lock that locked the layer.
GP layer. Okay.
Yeah. Now, there are a couple of ways to go about dealing with this. You can unlock it here, and that's fine, and then you can grab it on the timeline and just move it back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is a little weird to explain, but on your timeline, you can see a lot of things, but you get a couple of different views here. So you get your timeline view, but if you notice, I can't look at my layers on the timeline here. It just shows me that there's a keyframe. If I want to look at my layers on everything, I'm going to go to my dope sheet. Why is it not showing me things? I'm getting kind of irritated about that. Let's just pull up the grease pencil thing. So what this does, when you move over this, over on the far left of any window you're in, this is what determines what kind of window you're opening. So you could change any of these windows to kind of any other kind of window by changing this. And when I say that, I mean like this main window we've got up here is 3D viewport. But if I wanted to, I could come over here and change it to a timeline. And when it comes to the timeline, not everything is equal, and it's kind of annoying. So I had to change from the dope sheet. Sorry, I had to change from mouse. I had to change from the timeline. Now it's showing me this thing. I don't know. I think it's some kind of bug. I may need to just update to the newest version because you should just be able to click something and then it shows up down here in playback. And what that would let you do is it would actually let you see if you have something locked here without necessarily having to come over and dig around in the properties for it. Okay. Hopefully that made some kind of sense. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our cursor to this thing. We're going to go back to object mode. We're going to click on this little guy here. Shift S, cursor to select it. All right. Now, because we already have a keyframe here, it means that if we were to move the timeline, let's say we move the timeline.
What did you press?
For what?
What was the last thing you pressed? What are you doing?
Oh, we're just selecting the character we're about to start moving. And then we hit Shift S to move the cursor to them. Because remember, we've got our view locked to that cursor, so we kind of want that wherever we're working.
Okay. So I did that, and then now I'm looking at something. I don't know where I am now. I'm just looking at a bunch of gray.
Try scrolling back or scrolling forward. One of the two.
Okay. Oh. Okay. All right.
Did you get back to where you need to be?
Almost there.
And remember, you can shift right click to set the 3D cursor as well.
Okay. Weird because scrolling is no longer moving me. It's like panning me around instead of zooming me in and out. But
hit 0 on the numpad to bounce to a camera.
Okay. Well,
and then
yeah, that's better.
Yeah, okay. And then shift right click to just drop that 3D cursor somewhere where you can see it from the camera. And well, now it's doing the great thing to me. I don't know what's happening. There we go. That was stupid. Did you get it back where you need it?
Still kind of fumbling around a little bit.
Remember, if you hold shift and you middle
Yeah.
click and drag, that'll also let you move things a little bit differently. It might help you recenter yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, but then it's not behaving the way that I'm expecting it to. But the way it normally behaves when I do that, it's behaving differently. Um, hmm. Okay, well, the hell.
Try pressing Alt Home.
Okay, press that.
Do anything?
I think it is behaving normally now. Maybe.
Let's see. Try pressing N to bring up your little options panel.
Mm-hmm.
Go down to View, and where's
Uh-huh.
that stupid thing at? Oh, it's in View. I'm not seeing it.
Is there a way for me to like center on the 3D cursor?
Yeah, you should just be able to. I mean, you should be locked to it.
Mm,
Try
mm,
unclicking lock to 3D cursor and then clicking it again.
by by hitting what, Shift S?
Oh, so in the View menu here, if you look at my
Yeah.
screen, in the little View tab over here, there's a lock to 3D cursor option. Just unclick it and see where your screen goes.
I don't have that option there. Grease pencil.
Show me your screen.
Oh, okay.
This is the meat and potatoes of Blender, by the way.
Mm.
Figuring out the navigation.
Yeah, I can see that's the hump you gotta get over.
Once you can navigate around in here, everything gets way easier. All right, so scroll down. Actually, hold Shift, middle mouse, grab your scene, and try moving it and see what happens.
It moves very slowly like this.
Yeah, I think it's because you're zoomed like way in. So hit scroll down, scroll back, like with your mouse wheel.
But look what happens when I scroll back.
Keep going. Keep going. Okay, now hit in. Okay, press it again. And right above the little 3D cursor drop down that you see there, you see a view tab. Click that.
Yeah.
Now uncheck that box. Now try moving around and see what happens. Okay, now try checking it again. Oh, press 0 on the numpad. There we go. All right, now I want you to hold Shift and I want you to right click on the little thing in front of you.
What thing?
Actually, just left click that person. Now Shift S, cursor to select it. And it didn't.
And put it over here.
That's just weird. Okay. Really?
Oh, there it goes.
Okay. All right. Now try and move it around out of the camera. What in the hell?
He immediately does the same thing.
Go hit 0 again. Are you pressing 0 or are you like grabbing the window to move?
Um, so I just hit 0 now,
Uh huh.
and then I'm holding middle mouse.
Uh huh.
And the moment I press middle mouse, it does this.
Try zooming in. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. So what? Okay. Okay. Stop right there. Hold Shift. Right click on that thing's head to put the 3D cursor on it.
Okay.
All right. Now try moving. There you go. What? What? Why is the 3D cursor moving with your view?
Do I have it like locked to view or something somewhere? No, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't. That is not how that is supposed to work. Maybe it's floating in the air. It's not actually on the person. Okay, okay. Since you can move, uh, are you in object mode? Yeah,
Yes.
you're in object mode. Left click the person.
Uh-huh.
Okay, they're selected. Shift S, cursor to selected. And now hold Shift and middle mouse drag until it's, yeah, now try moving around. Okay, that's got you pretty settled there.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yep, yep, yep. Welcome to Blender.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
But now I gotta get supposed to get to this other guy, or does it matter?
yeah, yeah. Just zoom out. Just scroll back a bit, or yeah, just do that and then Shift S. There you go.
Cool.
Now you're cooking with gas. All right. Let me do the same
Dang,
thing.
thanks, man.
Yeah. Anytime you start getting like weird movements, try holding Shift and middle dragging. Or, damn, you know what? I'm stupid. I should have just had you go into the top-down ortho view.
I tried that too, but I couldn't figure out how if I was too zoomed in or too zoomed out. It was crazy. But,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, all right.
All right.
Blender.
Blender. See, this is why I don't envy those 3D peeps, because this is what they do all day: is click and drag points, and things go wrong, and I have to untangle it.
Yeah.
Just gotta chill and listen to music and draw.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
I want to do a combination of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we've got this. We got this one here. So what we're gonna do to get them into position to jump down from the building? They're already keyframed, right?
Yeah.
As a starting point, they're keyframed. So
Right.
what you can do, you can see the. Oh, you know what? Up here on the top right, where it lets you select the viewport shading stuff,
Mm-hmm.
there's a little thing that if you hover over it says toggle X-ray.
Yeah.
Click that and turn that off.
Cool.
This will make things a lot easier to see, I think.
For sure.
Cool. Alright, so grab. Okay, we're not gonna grab anything. What we're gonna do is hit 7, go to top down,
Mm-hmm.
and we are going to move our 3D cursor closer to the edge of the roof here. And we're going to do that in top-down mode by holding Shift and just right-clicking.
Okay.
All right. And now that your cursor is there, we're going to take our playhead. We're going to drag it until we see these people effectively stop moving. Because we know that's about the point we're going to have our people jump down.
Right.
So this
Okay.
is going to be kind of the way that we would rough this out, because we can change all this stuff, but we're just going to go ahead and get it thrown in here. So now that we've got our playhead where we want it to be for where we want our person to be here, we're going to press Shift S, selection to cursor. And this is just going to move the person to the cursor instead of the cursor to the person.
So
And
we're clicking him and then we're hitting Shift S?
yeah.
And then selecting what?
Selection to cursor. So it'll be the top option instead of the bottom one.
Selection to cursor, okay.
And it should just poof right over to the cursor.
What should poof?
The person.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Okay, I see what happened.
Yeah. And if you
I
look
didn't even
down
realize that that's what happened. Okay.
yeah, if you look down at your timeline now, you'll see that there's keyframes.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And so if you now scrub the timeline back, what you're going to see is nothing. Why in the hell did it not count this? All right. Just hit Control Z until the person is back at the starting point.
Okay.
Move your playhead back to 0.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see now. Let me see if this does it. That's so weird. All right. Playhead on 0, person selected. We're going to press I. I inserts keyframes.
Okay.
So if you want to create a keyframe and you don't see a little white dot to hit I, and it's going to bring up all the things you can keyframe for whatever you have selected. We're going to do location right now.
Okay.
So just click location, and your little person is now keyframed where they started. So now we're going to move our playhead forward again until our guys have stopped moving. Roughly. The 3D cursor should still be where we want that person to move to. So we're going to hit Shift S, selection to cursor, and now if you scrub, you'll see them moving from point A to point B.
Yes.
Cool.
But also moving through the building.
Crap baskets. If they were located on the building in the first place, and then when you dropped your 3D cursor, did you happen to put it on a different plane?
Yeah, I put it just around on the other side, but it has to be right there on the corner.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do this right now.
Okay.
Just to learn.
Okay. All right, one second.
That's cool.
So I guess I gotta delete this. And then I gotta put Shift S, selection of cursor. Ooh. Okay. Okay, it's working now. All right, I'm caught up.
Shoo, good. Now, I'm going to hit 7 because it's kind of hard to judge distance sometimes. But once you're in that top-down view again, all we're going to do is we're going to move our playhead forward a bit. Doesn't really matter how much right now because we're going to adjust it, but, not too much because they're just going to jump down. So just move it a little bit ahead. Then you're going to shift right-click where you want them to land on the ground to move
them being the individual, being one person.
Yes.
Okay.
So we know where we want them to land.
Yeah.
And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to hit Shift S, selection to cursor. And yes, they are going to move straight through the building to get there. That's okay. Because this is part of how I'm there. So we could theoretically create a path just like we did for the other things and have them move along that path. This is just another way of showing you how to move stuff around and then how to deal with them moving through something you don't want them to move through. Okay?
Gotcha.
So now, what we're going to do, I'm going to put. Oh, okay. So if you have your mouse hovering inside the timeline, left and right arrow keys move you left and right frame. So if you want to move ahead a frame, you press right. If you want to move back a frame, you press left.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to move to the next keyframe, you press up and down to move ahead and yeah. Up and down moves keyframes, left and right just moves normal frames.
Gotcha.
So make sure that you're on this frame, and the way you'll know you're on this frame, if you're ever curious and you want to make sure that you're actually on the frame that is keyed, if you press in to pull up this little side menu over here and you go to item, you'll see that the location or anything that has been keyed will be yellow if you're on the keyed frame. If you just
Gotcha.
hit left or right, you'll see it goes green,
Mm-hmm.
and that means you're not on the right frame. So make sure you're on that for what we're about to do.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to make this person jump down and not just shift through the building like a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
To do that, we're going to start on this frame here, and we're going to split our screen. So come over to the right, right click, and we're going to do a vertical split, and just drag over and left click, and you will now have two windows. Do you have your two windows?
Yes.
So in the left window, we're going to press 3, and that's going to take us to our side view. Our
Yep.
right orthographic view. Now, if you scrub your timeline, you'll see that you can see highlighted your character moving down. Right?
Yes.
And in this other window, you'll be able to physically see them moving. The reason we have the reason we want two windows up right now is because we've already decided that we want them to move down to that point from up high. What we now want to do is we want to actually make it look like they're jumping. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move our playhead from their starting point forward a few frames. And in our orthographic view, we're going to press G to grab. We're going to press Z, and we're going to move them up. And because they're jumping, you're going to want to get them just a bit above their starting point, right?
Uh-huh.
And once you left click on that, it's going to keyframe it. So now you can scrub and see if they're high enough, which I think they are. But all you have to do if you don't feel like they're high enough after you scrub it is just move back to that keyframe and hit G, and you can manipulate it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
Ba-dum-bum.
Jeez Louise.
What's up?
Man, dude, it would Jesus Christ. This is so helpful. This would have taken me literally a year to do this.
Yeah, I've been messing with Blender and trying to learn it for what 8 or 9 years now.
Wow. Wow. Cool.
Yeah. So
Jesus.
yeah. So you now have your person jumping down.
Yep.
You can just knowing this much. If you decided that you wanted to add squash and stretch, once they hit the ground, you can move them down a little bit more, move them up a little bit more. But this is the basics. This is way number 2 of moving things around in the world. And keyframing, so we've got that person moving. So the way I plan this in my head is we're going to see one person land, and then pretty quickly after that, we're going to see the next person land. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our playhead and we're going to move it forward just a little bit from their landing. And then we are going to grab our person that's up here on the water tower.
Right.
We are going to rinse and repeat what we just did.
Okay.
But I know it's not going to work because we got to fix some stuff. So let's just go ahead and screw it, drag the playhead all the way back to 0.
Add that keyframe.
Yeah. Move this. So if they're all highlighted, they're all going to move. So if you just want to move one, if you go to grab something and everything moves, it's because everything's highlighted. Just grab the one you want to move and move it. Why are you being a pain? And make sure that it's all unchecked. And then let's just go ahead and hit I to make sure that we have the location keyframed. Gucci?
Yeah.
I don't think I should say that word. So
Gucci.
just to make sure, again, this is part of the workflow. We had to go back and do something so we're not where we want to be on the playhead anymore.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to go click on this person again, and their stuff is going to pop up on the timeline. We're just going to scrub to just a little bit past their landing. Then we're going to click on this person.
Yeah.
All right. Since we've already got 2 views out, we'll just go ahead and take one view and make it an ortho view, top down. Press 7.
Yeah.
And we will shift right click to drop the 3D cursor down to where we want them to land. Looking at that actually looks a little too close to the thing. Let's have them move a little bit like that. Actually, no. We're going to back it up. Yeah, let's get it just a little close. That's cool. All right. And from here, all we do is Shift S, selection to cursor. Now, again, what you're going to see is they're going to slowly phase through the thing because we've only given the program 2 points to move between, right? Point A, point B. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this playhead back to about the point before we want them to jump down. So this point, so if you were to scrub all the way back, right, the initial point that we keyframed here is the point that we want them at, right? As far as like before they jump down, we want them to be up at the top of the tower.
Yeah.
Highlight this keyframe back here, Shift D to duplicate it, and just drag it to where somewhere around in here. And we can now adjust that based off of when we want them to start the jump. So this person is landed. I think we're going to want it to be about here.
All right. My keyframe started looking different than yours. You have like you have them like multiple on top of each other, but mine are like all beside each other on the timeline.
That's okay. Long as when you scrub, it's doing what you want it to do. We can figure out the nuances later. Like I have some additional keyframe here that's doing something. I don't know what it is.
Okay, so what's the objective here? What am I trying to do?
What we're trying to do is reset. Since we've got our endpoint.
Yeah.
We've got our endpoint. We've got our beginning point. This is just one of the ways that if you've already got something in the frame and you say you're going to move it, but you're like, oh, but I want it to start here. This is just an easy way to keyframe it to be where you want them to be when they start. I don't know if I explained that right at all.
I think I understand.
Yeah, because like with the other one, you remember we started off, we keyframed it from the very back, and we had them move up and then jump.
Mm-hmm.
This person isn't moving up, so
Right.
they're just going to jump down.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Now, what we could do, I mean, if we wanted to have some fun with it, we're here. What we can do is we actually could, and this is just the exact same process. Move the playhead back a little bit in your ortho top-down view. Shift, right click to move the 3D cursor behind where they are just a little bit. Shift S, selection to cursor. Now we've keyframed them to be a little bit further back. And so they'll actually walk up to the edge now and then jump off.
Okay.
With me?
Yeah, you showed me two different things to do here, and
Sorry.
trying to decide which one to do. I think I'm trying to do the thing where you extend the keyframes.
Okay.
So
That's just shift, just grab the keyframe, shift D,
Shift
duplicate,
D, duplicate. Mm-hmm.
and then just drag them to where you want them.
Okay, that did not work. Let's see. Grab the keyframe, hit Shift D. It lets me move it, but it's not doing the. It's not making the bar like on yours.
That's weird. You know what? Forget about that. Just do it with the right clicking with the 3D cursor and selection to cursor.
Okay.
We'll make this real simple.
Okay. But I get what we have to do. So let me just focus on this for 1 second.
Yeah. Zoom, zoom, zoom. What? Why'd you start? I'm just green, 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 green. I'm green. Green, green, green. Why is it? No, when I clicked on you, what did you go to? Why didn't you go directly to it? Did you get the camera somehow? I don't think I can actually. Ah, you rat. Why is it? It's acting like it's not even there. I don't know why. Okay. All right, all right, all right. You got it sorted? You want me to have a look?
Um. Yeah, let me just show you.
Yep. No reason to be on the struggle bus today, if you don't have to be.
Okay. I got a reserved seat on the struggle bus. Got a assigned seat.
Yeah,
All right.
I've got the lifetime pass. So
So this is what I mean. If you look at the bottom, this is what I mean by my key frames are like in a row. I don't have like multiple layer. Like
yeah, yours is doing that thing where it's not showing you the entire thing like it should. So if you go far right, I'll make it show it to you. So go. I'm sorry, far left. To where you remember how we were talking about you could change a menu to anything.
uh,
Yeah. So on that, instead of uh, instead of the timeline, go to the dope sheet, and then once you've selected, Once you've selected the dope sheet, to the right of that, where it says dope sheet, click that and select grease pencil. And watch it show you. Yeah, now you can see it. Now, for some reason, if you click back up and click back to timeline, I'm gonna bet it's still gonna show you that.
Huh.
Ask me why, I have no idea.
Why?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so now you can see all that stuff, and you can collapse that stuff down in the left to where you just see like the whole thing. Yeah. So now yours will look similar to mine.
Okay.
Like, yeah, yours is looking real similar to mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think because he's landing before the first guy when he's supposed to land after. So
Yeah, that's okay. This is one of the easiest things to fix, right? All you got to do is while you're scrubbing, right?
Mhm.
Just scrub to the point where you want them to land.
Okay, which would be right here.
Yeah. So what you're going to do is you're just going to grab the keyframes, and the little bounding box thing works the same here as it does up top. So just bounding box. Go ahead and collapse all your stuff first. So on the far left, collapse that down. Yeah. So now grab the keyframes.
Like all of them.
Just those last two, like the one where they're at the edge and then the one where they jump off.
Yeah.
Press G to grab those things and move them forward.
Um.
Try moving them a little more.
I think I wasn't supposed to move the other guy's keyframes with it.
You shouldn't be able to if you don't have them selected.
Oh, okay. So move him more. Okay.
Yeah, see?
Oh, okay.
So at the right, move your mouse over to the right just a bit more, up to where it says end.
Uh-huh.
And right now, that light gray section is actually the length of your clip. You can extend that by running that number up.
Gotcha.
You can just grab it and click out of it and then grab it and move it. Yeah. Of course, you're getting into like 1.5, 2.5 minutes, so you may just need to zoom in on your timeline a bit because mine's still at like 30 seconds.
Hmm.
So
I see.
yeah, you can just hit Control Z and move stuff back.
But this guy's keyframe would have to move. His keyframes would have to move.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure you're grabbing that top, like collapse it so that you don't accidentally move a layer's keyframe as opposed to the whole thing's keyframe. Like, go ahead and collapse that thing down.
Like clicking which one? This one or
Yeah,
this one?
yeah, that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's going to show you everything you have selected in that mode, and since you only have one thing selected, you're only dealing with one thing's keyframes.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. All right. Let me make sure I undo that. Okay. So now I just collapse this. He's selected, so now I'm only moving his keyframes.
Yeah.
So move them over there. Okay. So they get there, then he lands, and then right after. Oh, wait, no, there. Now they're there. So he's supposed to land here. And then the other guy's supposed to land right there. So click that guy.
And grab his keyframes and just drag them back.
There. Cool. Okay. Wow.
I know it's a bunch of moving pieces, but you can handle this. I know you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to grab our third good guy, and we're going to do the exact same thing.
Okay. I want to see if I can.
Oh, I'm sorry. We still have this guy moving through the barn to get down there through the little gas thing, right? He's not jumping.
Yeah.
So we're just going to select that character, and then hit 3 so you go into your orthographic view instead of the top-down view in that window, in the left one. Yeah. Yeah, you'll want that so you can kind of get an idea of it. And you want to zoom out so that you can see the ground as well, because that's where it's going to end at. There you go. And all we're going to do is we're going to get to the point where it's the last frame before they jump. We're going to scrub forward just a little bit. In the ortho view, you're going to hit G and Z to just raise them up so it looks like they're jumping. Mine needs to go way up because they are still clipping through the thing. Yeet. In fact, what I might have to do you know what? I think that's one of the reasons I actually did move the that endpoint forward a bit, was so you could get a better jump arc and not have them come through.
Hmm.
So if you're having on mine, the issue I'm having right now is that even doing that, I would have to have them jump really high, which we can do. That's fine. We'll just have them jump really high, so that when they continue that forward thing, they miss the edge, as opposed to having to change a bunch of other stuff. So we're just going to make them go a little higher. Oh, geez, get some good air here. Yo, boom. Yeah. And kind of at any point, if you want to check it, you can just scrub back, hit spacebar, and just watch it happen. This is where you'll really start refining stuff like that, but we're not quite to that refining stage yet. Just want to get them to jump down.
The jumper guy jumped. The other guy is just kind of slowly floating through the air.
Yeah, so we're gonna do the same deal. Like grab the one that's floating, pick a point in between the jump and the land, and shoot them up into the sky a bit.
Um,
So go to that orthographic side view,
uh-huh.
pick a point in between your start of the jump and the landing. Doesn't really matter where because we can move it, right? Yeah, and then in your orthographic view, just press G and Z to make sure it's moving just straight up, and just move them up high enough that when you scrub forward, they are not hitting the side of the thing. And if, like, I've got mine going really, really high and it's still clipping through the little barn thing, what that tells me is that we need to move over to the end point, the landing point on the timeline, and we're going to go into our top-down view. Hit 7 on the numpad. And I think we just need to move this person forward a bit.
Oh, goodness.
Now let's have a look. See. Yeah, that's way better. Sorry, I want to get into the cameras and everything, but
Yeah, no. Yeah,
if
we're not
you
going to be able to do that this time.
if you don't know how to move the people and the things in the scene to set it up the way you want it, moving the cameras is kind of pointless.
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, this is plenty. Getting this movement stuff is enough.
And I gave you 3 of them because we're gonna do it again.
I haven't quite solved the floating dude, but
Okay, pull it up.
I
Show
know.
me. Pull it up. Show me
I
your
just
screen.
need, I think I'm pretty sure I just need to get his points moved closer together is the issue. Right?
I don't know. Can't see it.
All right. Well, let me show. So like this is what happens when this guy. See it?
Yeah. So all you need to do is grab your grab your timeline and scrub forward just a bit. Yeah, all you got to do is just move your either move your if he's landing when you want him to land, then move the keyframe of him jumping forward.
Right.
And you're zoomed way out of your timeline, so scroll in and zoom in on your timeline, and this will help.
Okay.
Yeah. So all you got to do is move your timeline now to where you want that to happen. Are you trying to move your first guy or your second guy?
Trying to move the guy on the water tower. The
Okay.
second guy.
So right now you have the second guy, or you had the first guy selected, and you changed something in that. So hit Control Z.
Okay.
Like scrub through and see if the first guy is still moving like you want him to, because I'm pretty sure you had him selected and you moved something for him. But okay, yeah, you're getting it there.
Okay.
Yeah, all you got to do now is just move that. Just move him a little. Move it a little closer to your landing point. Move your jump point closer to your landing point now.
Jump point being here.
No, the keyframe, the last keyframe before he goes up.
Before he goes up.
Oh, you do have him jumping. Why is your timeline not showing the right keyframes? What is that? Why do you have 3 keyframes here? All right. Here's what I want you to do. Press up on the arrow pad so we can see exactly what your guy's doing at his keyframe points.
Okay.
All right. He doesn't exist. He exists. He is at the edge. He's down. What's your next keyframe? Oh, you moved him forward for some reason. Okay. Yeah, delete that keyframe. Get rid of that. That's in the way. That's confusing us both.
Uh, did I delete the wrong keyframe?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
You should have one where he goes up and one where he lands.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's have a look and see, relative to him landing, when does the other one land? So just scrub through. All right, so move your timeline. You're going to want... Yeah, right after that one lands, right after your first one lands, you're going to want your second one to land.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean like real soon after. So like boom, and that one should be landing right about now.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right, and now what you're going to do is you're going to pick a point right about there. Actually, go back. Okay, so right about there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, hovering in your ortho view, press G.
Uh-huh.
And Z, so it's only moving vertically, and move him up so he's going to get a jump arc.
Okay.
All right? And you can adjust this, but just go ahead and do it.
All right.
And now scrub through and watch him jump off the tower. Yoink. All right, so that point where he's going up might be a little bit too far out, so you can just grab that point and move it closer to your other frame on your timeline. Yeah, just grab that keyframe.
Mm-hmm.
Why are there two now? Yeah, hit Z, hit Control Z. You added a keyframe in there somehow. There you go. Now grab that keyframe. Yeah. And now move it to the left a bit. What fresh hell?
What fresh hell?
All right, delete that thing. All right. Okay.
Did this just get moved closer, like here?
Yeah, try that. Yeah, that's going to be... that's about the distance you want in those. And then slightly past your first one. Slightly past that. Yeah, so go to the right, like right there. Now you're going to just pull that guy up. Yeah, just straight up. GZ. It doesn't have to be super high. Just high enough that it creates an arc so that he doesn't hit the thing when he's moving.
Right. Oh, okay. This looks right.
Okay, cool.
Ooh, okay.
Now we got one more.
One more. Uno más.
You got this. Yeah.
So that click them, go to 0, make the keyframe.
Yep. Probably have to clean it up because I'm dumb. But you should now see that little summary thing. Now is when you're going to expand that.
Yeah.
And you'll see that one of those keyframes, if you zoom in on your timeline now, that's the thing. You're going to have to be zoomed in a bit to see. Yeah, now you can see that. Ooh, yeah, right there. See how you've got a grayed out keyframe?
Yeah.
That's the locked one. So just click the little lock to unlock it.
Mm-hmm.
Grab that little bastard and move it to where he overlaps, where he's in line with the other one. There you go.
Okay.
Cool. Now collapse it so that you don't accidentally move one of those, right? You're at 0, so I.
Location.
Yep.
Yeah.
This guy is already standing in place, so we're just going to have him jump down. And again, I would hit go. So right now, what the setup you've got right now is what I call ortho and active. There's probably an actual term for it, but you got one window that's ortho, one window that's like an active view. So go to your ortho window and change it from side view to top view, which would be 7 on the numpad.
Okay.
And hold shift and grab it with your middle mouse button to move it. There you go. Just to make it easier for you.
Right.
And now just shift right click where you think that guy is going to land.
Cool. I'm gonna have him come closer, like right here.
I wouldn't. But you know what? Yeah, doesn't matter. Okay,
Okay.
and okay, so now that you've done that and we've keyframed him, what we have to do now is move the timeline to where we want him to land,
Yep. Okay.
which would be slightly after the other ones land. So in your active window, you can just kind of move your view around to where you see that second guy land without necessarily having to click on it and go through the timeline and all that.
Wait, without having to go through the timeline?
Yeah, I mean, you can just see it. You can see
Okay.
him landing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just go move back to exactly where he lands on the timeline, and then just
Yeah.
slightly past that is where, yeah, so right, yeah, right around there. Okay,
Yeah.
so you've already got your guy selected. You've already got the point where you want it to be. So now it's just Shift S,
Shift S, selection of cursor.
selection of cursor.
Yeah.
So if you look now, if you scrub, it's going to be real slow, right?
Yeah.
So move your timeline. You know, we're not even going to play around. Move your timeline back just a little bit. Move it just. Screw it. Hit Control Z.
Hit Control Z.
Hit Control Z. Hit Control Z until he is not on the mark. Right there. Take your timeline, move it to about the point where your second guy has jumped but not landed. Right about there.
Uh-huh.
Now press I.
Oh, I have him jump at the same time.
No, just go ahead and lock this guy into location at that point.
Mm.
Just go ahead and create the keyframe of him starting his jump.
Uh-huh.
Yep, hit I, location, and then move your timeline forward now to where you want him to land,
Yeah.
and then Shift S, selection to cursor. Now you should see him actually jump down instead of float forever down. And so what you can do now, this is the easy part, just grab the beginning, just grab that frame. Yeah, and just move it closer to the landing frame now.
Right.
And you can just adjust that to the point where you feel like he would jump and land appropriately.
Right.
And then
Okay.
slightly past that frame, yeah, you're just going to press G and you're going to press Z to make sure he's just moving vertically.
Just vertically.
Right.
Uh-huh.
You an object? Yeah. There you go. And now, damn, he's jumped real high, but that's fine. Now scrub it.
Okay.
All right. So now you've got all of your people moving at about the time you want them to be moving. And next time we'll set the cameras up.
Wow. Okay. Awesome.
So right now you've got about 30 seconds of an animatic of an action, the beginning of an action scene, or like a cutscene or something.
Right.
I had envisioned this as a cutscene of like the bad guys roll up, they hop out of their car, they go to scour the place, the good guys show up, and then the game part starts.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that. Like right about here.
I did notice that the second character, his green fill, I lost his green fill somewhere. Do you know?
There's probably a layer. I'd have to look at
Oh,
it,
okay.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not super important. I was just curious, but okay. Wow.
All right, so we went from nothing. We went from just those guys on their paths moving. We figured out how you can use a path to move someone along the path, and we also figured out how you can manually move people by setting the 3D cursor somewhere. Control S with auto keying on. Shift S. Yeah, and so that's the basics of moving things in Blender. And you can do that with anything. Like you can take a car, set its wheels to spin infinitely, just on a loop, and then put that on a path, and the car looks like it's driving.
Nice.
You want a ship to be flying around in a certain way. You want something to go a specific place a certain way. You want two objects to kind of move around each other in a certain way. You can set paths for all of that.
Right. Wow. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much for showing me that, Andy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that we moved at a pace that everyone can kind of follow along with who watches this. If anybody has any questions, just hit me up. Peace, love, tranquility, a bit of vodka, and the world's a good place. All right, I'm going to turn this off now.
All right. Bye.